When you think of Japanese sedans from the 1990s, names like Toyota Camry, Nissan Bluebird, and Honda Accord immediately come to mind. But beneath the surface of mainstream recognition, there lies a more subtle, refined, and arguably underappreciated name, the 1990 Isuzu Aska. A product of quiet ambition and strategic partnerships, the Aska stood at the crossroads of Japanese engineering and global collaboration. It wasn't just another car on the road, it was a symbol of Isuzu's willingness to adapt and innovate in a highly competitive market. To understand the 1990 Isuzu Aska, we first have to step back and look at Isuzu's position in the late 1980s. Known more for its trucks, buses, and utility vehicles, Isuzu was not traditionally a go-to brand for sedans. But that didn't stop them from trying to break into the family car segment. The original Aska, launched in 1983, was developed in partnership with General Motors and based on the GM-J platform. This gave the car a shared DNA with models like the Opel Ascona and the Chevrolet Cavalier. But by the time the 1990 model rolled out, things had shifted. The second-generation Aska, launched in 1989 and continuing into 1990, was a rebadged version of the Subaru legacy. That's right, what you were getting with the Aska was essentially a Subaru, but with Isuzu badges. This strategic move allowed Isuzu to offer a high-quality, reliable sedan without investing heavily in R&D during a time when development costs were skyrocketing. And frankly, it was a smart move. The 1990 Isuzu Aska came with all the hallmarks of the Subaru legacy platform: boxer engines, a choice between front-wheel drive and all-wheel drive, and a well-balanced chassis. While Isuzu didn't make drastic changes to the legacy design, they did give the Aska a few unique touches in trim and equipment levels. Still, beneath the sheet metal, it remained a car born from Fuji Heavy Industries' capable engineering. Powering the 1990 Aska was typically the EJ series flat-4 engine. Buyers had choices ranging from a 1.8-liter to a 2.0-liter engine, depending on the market and trim level. While not blisteringly fast, these engines offered a solid mix of fuel economy, smooth operation, and adequate power for daily driving. The 2.0-liter version delivered around 130 horsepower, which was decent for the era. What made the Aska truly stand out, however, was the available full-time all-wheel drive system, a rare and valuable feature in a non-luxury sedan of its time. Inside the cabin, the 1990 Aska presented a no-nonsense design. It wasn't flashy, but it was comfortable and functional. The layout was typically Japanese in its pragmatism: clear instrumentation, user-friendly controls, and materials that, while not luxurious, were built to last. Seating was spacious enough for 5, and the trunk space was generous for a car of its class. In short, the Aska delivered on the essentials without pretense. One of the things that made the 1990 Isuzu Aska particularly interesting was how it fit into the broader global strategy of Japanese automakers. Isuzu was focused on trucks and SUVs, but it still wanted a piece of the booming sedan market. Instead of diverting resources away from its core strength, it partnered smartly, first with GM, then with Subaru. This kind of badge engineering was becoming more common at the time, and while it didn't always result in standout products, the Aska was one of the better outcomes. The Aska was also notable for how it was positioned in different markets. In Japan, it was marketed through Isuzu dealerships and often appealed to buyers looking for something a bit different from the more popular Toyota or Nissan offerings. It was never a volume seller, but it had a niche appeal, especially among those who appreciated Subaru engineering but preferred a different badge or dealer experience. On the road, the 1990 Aska performed admirably. Thanks to the Subaru platform, it offered composed handling, a smooth ride, and good all-weather traction, particularly in AWD models. The flat-4 engine gave it a low center of gravity, which translated to stability in corners and reduced body roll. Compared to contemporaries like the Mazda 626 or the Toyota Carina, the Aska held its own, especially when conditions got slippery. From a safety standpoint, the 1990 Aska offered a respectable package for its time. Anti-lock brakes were available on higher trims, and the all-wheel drive system inherently provided better control in adverse conditions. Of course, it didn't have airbags or the kind of crash structure we expect today, but for its era, it was well within the norm. As we dig deeper into the 1990 Isuzu Aska, what becomes clear is that this car is a study in smart compromise. Isuzu knew what it was good at: diesel engines, commercial vehicles, utility-focused platforms. But rather than stretch itself thin to build a sedan from scratch, it looked to partnerships to fill in the gaps. And in doing so, it managed to offer a product that was not only competitive but often quietly superior in ways that mattered. Collectors today might overlook the Aska, and that's understandable. It lacks the performance credentials of a Skyline, the brand prestige of a Lexus, or the quirky charm of a Honda CRX. But what it does offer is a unique snapshot of automotive strategy in the late 20th century. It tells a story of how brands collaborated, how markets evolved, and how engineering could be shared to mutual benefit. The 1990 Aska is also a reminder of just how versatile the Japanese auto industry was during this time. This was an era when manufacturers weren't afraid to take risks, to try new ideas, or to form alliances that crossed traditional boundaries. Isuzu and Subaru may have seemed like strange bedfellows, but the Aska proves that the result could be far more than the sum of its parts. Maintenance and reliability were strong suits for the Aska, another hallmark of Subaru engineering. Owners typically reported few major issues, and the engine and drivetrain were known to be robust if properly maintained. The only recurring criticisms came down to the car's modest power output and relatively conservative styling, but again, those were hardly unique problems among sedans of the time. If you were to drive a 1990 Aska today, you'd find it surprisingly refined. Sure, it wouldn't keep up with modern turbocharged machines or EVs, but its ride quality, quiet interior, and confident road manners would still impress. It's a car that feels more substantial than its sales figures might suggest. And for anyone familiar with the Subaru legacy of the same era, the driving experience would feel very familiar. Today, the Isuzu Aska remains a rare sight on the road, and an even rarer find at car shows or in collectors' garages. Its legacy is understated, its impact often overlooked. But that doesn't diminish its value. For those who appreciate automotive history, who understand the nuance of manufacturer collaborations, and who find charm in vehicles that dared to be different without shouting about it, the 1990 Aska is a hidden gem. In a sea of nostalgia-driven appreciation for the Civics, Supras, and 300ZXs of the world, the Aska stands quietly in the background, solid, dependable, and quietly innovative. It may never earn the cult status of its sportier peers, but for those who know what it is and what it represents, it holds a special kind of significance. What makes the 1990 Isuzu Aska so compelling isn't just the car itself, it's the context in which it was born. It's a story of adaptation, of leveraging partnerships to overcome limitations, and of offering real value to consumers in a crowded marketplace. It's a vehicle that speaks to the pragmatism of its time, but also to the ingenuity of a brand that knew how to punch above its weight. So, if you ever find yourself at a Japanese car meet and you spot an old Aska tucked away in a corner, take a closer look. Behind the modest exterior lies a fascinating story of cooperation, clever engineering, and quiet ambition. The 1990 Isuzu Aska may not roar like a Supra or handle like an Integra Type R, but it deserves its own round of applause, for being exactly what it set out to be, and doing it exceptionally well.